Good morning, how are you? I'm in a muddy field near Ash in East Kent. So we're probably near sort of Sandwich Way, Pegwell Bay area. And I'm off to take you to a Starfish Decoy site. And as with all Starfish Decoy sites, they are located in the middle of nowhere. So you always normally you're guaranteed a nice little walk from wherever you park. And yeah, I mean, when you look around, it's the perfect place to put one. So more importantly, let's take a look at it. And today we won't do a history lesson properly. I'll just walk you through it because as of counting today, this will be my 9th decoy site on the channel. So we're well versed in the way they were operated. I will say it again though for the channel, but it won't be your classic history lesson that all of you are accustomed to these days. But hopefully it'll be good enough, and that's the most important thing. So I'll see you on the other side. Take care for now, and yeah, loving it. See ya. Hello. We've made it. Nice little walk that was. I could actually, to be fair, I needed that. I needed just a walk today. So that in itself has done me the world of good. But welcome to the Starfish Decoy at Ash. So, let me blast you with some history whilst we're here, and we'll talk all about it. So the first thing you're encountering is a blast wall. In fact, there's two on this site here. There's a secondary blast wall there as well. And this is the decoy site, Starfish. So, what should we say? Well, it was a queue site, apparently, because there's actually not much records on this that I could find. So I'm going to try and do my best for you today. So this was labelled as a Q site, which meant it was a day site, Starfish in the days, a K site, sorry, not Q, K. And the idea was that by being a K site, it was designed for daytime operations in terms of it was meant to replicate RAF Manston, which is somewhere over that direction, I think, Thanet. Yeah, probably that way. And the idea was it was meant to replicate RF Manston. And you can see where we are is just like marshland as far as the eye can see. And there's a lot of agriculture and farming going on. But what you don't realise, well, you do probably if you walk it, but all around us here, Finger of Doom, if you can see this ridge, this is actually wetland that actually really surpasses the marsh. So in essence, you're looking at a big square here. Huge square, the size of a football pitch easily. And this is our generator building and our main control room operations, but I'll explain more about that in a minute. So yeah, its use, in theory, was to replicate the dummy airfield, or a dummy airfield for RF Manston, so that it would, in theory, confuse German bombers as they were coming over looking to disrupt RF Manston. So you kind of got to imagine that really across here its job was to replicate an airfield. So you may have had sort of dummy aircraft here, maybe balsa wood construction or stuff like that, and also you would have replicated the lines of the airfield in theory as well. So an important site, but more importantly than that is that, as I've said in every single decoy site, really what you've got to try and imagine is that the people who were stationed here, their purpose was to be hit. So you're literally encouraging German bombers or German fighters to come and try and destroy this site. And in that essence, it's pretty crazy, really. I couldn't find any evidence of it being a nighttime site, so that would probably be a Q site. But there's every possibility that it probably could have been. We know that from other decoy sites is that they would, depending, it would be a nighttime or daytime one. Like I said, this one, strangely, maybe not strangely, was labelled as a K site, which meant daytime. So who knows, but it's an important site nonetheless, and it's one that's been on my tick list for years and years and years. So finally got the opportunity to do it. When I say the opportunity, I mean I needed a walk, and I was like, okay, I'm looking at my list and I was thinking, do you know what, let's do that one. And so this is the 9th starfish site that I've done on the channel, so we're well versed in now, I'm hoping. But this one did remain a bit of a mystery, which is quite interesting to do. But more importantly, let's take a look at what we're faced with. So like I said, this is a blast wall, and let's sort of pretend that we're walking in. So you would have been walking into the site here, and then what you would have been faced with would have been some corrugated, corrugated iron, whatever you want to sort of refer it to as. And then this would have been your operations room that you would have been in. So everybody who would have been stationed in here would have been literally sitting within here, getting reports of when there would have been German attacks, etc. There's a blast wall, but in theory you've got to imagine that that would have been outside the structure. So all of this, you can see the ribbing for where the corrugated steel iron would have been. It's left its imprint within the concrete, and obviously we're looking out on that sort of blast protection that would have been there. So like I said, we've walked in, we're now inside, and obviously overhead would have been, so really in theory I would have had to duck down because we're a little bit low, but again you've got to imagine that the ground has obviously been built up over time. Then as you walk in here, this would have been where your generator would have been, and obviously those little loops, as we've sort of mentioned before in previous videos, would have been where they would have the piping for the generator, you know what I'm trying to say, can't think today, would have been. So these holes. So let's have a look inside anyway whilst we're here. And yeah, nice that there's a little bit of detailing still left in here. Not in the greatest condition, but time and everything else is taking its toll, and obviously people visiting. We see that there's bits of graffiti here as well, indented into the chalk. And it's a nice little structure. And then again walking out, so you can see here, this would have been a little corridor here as a secondary entrance. So there's a blast wall again coming in at a dog leg, really in theory, so you're sort of looking at that, and then as it's coming out again, entrance or exit, again entrance or exit depending. But then you've got this generator that would have been situated in here, and yeah, let's look outside. Beautiful, really, the fact this still survives in the condition that it does. But again, obviously we're in marshland, and obviously the weather, we're very exposed here. And obviously that puts in perspective of obviously the people who were stationed here, how exposed they were really. So not only have you got German bombers and German fighters to contend with, but you also really stuck out in the elements. I mean, the farms, the nearest farms would be, let's just sort of put this in perspective. So the nearest farms, oh, try and get around here. There's some that are down there, and they're across here, but it's a nice little walk for you to come here. Obviously they would have been driving as well potentially, but we are really out in the sticks, and that's what I love about these Starfish Decoy sites. Some of you have probably done some on your channels, for example, and you know that the moment you pick to choose one, you know you might have to be going for a nice little walk, and I think that that's pretty much symbolic of every single one that I've done, from All Hallows to Camden to Swindon to even Essex, which I still say the one that I made in Essex was probably one of the best ones ever, because it would, you've probably seen it, some of you, it obviously contained 2 separate bunkers, one for nighttime, one for daytime operations. But on here, like we said, the only information that we got is that it was a K site. There we go, K. And which obviously would have symbolised daytime operations. And we get this vibe that obviously likes this corrugated framework around it. And then obviously our generator inside there. And our 2 blast walls. Not a lot to look at, but on the scheme of things in World War II history, very, very important. And like I said, important for the fact of obviously that people out there, you may have visited Manston Airport, for example, but you may not have known that it had a decoy site, which is this very one here at Ash. So let's look behind. So this is where our piping would have continued from our generator, and that would have obviously provided the power that it needed to simulate lights to replicate the airfield, for example, and any other such things that it needed to do. But the field itself is huge, and like I said, we're in the marsh. It's amazing really, like I always think to myself, with the amount of new builds that are in Kent and stuff, and I still love the fact of I can still get lost in Kent in its wonderful and rich countryside. And even when I was walking up here, I was thinking, oh God, I hope they can still maintain some of this beautiful countryside, you know. But who's to say about this building? I mean, unfortunately, like we said, it has seen better days, which is such a shame, but it's common these days. Unfortunately, these sites aren't getting any younger. Like we said before, they would have, I mean, the generator itself wouldn't have been as loud as people think, unless you're actually right in it, of course. But there you go. Isn't that brilliant? Let's take one more walk around. Take one more look around. It's just nice that you see the imprint of where it would have been, really, in terms of where the sheeting would have gone. It's brilliant. So again, it probably would have had some fuel stores as well. Anything just to replicate it as best as possible. Like I said, its purpose really to divert from RF Manston. Oh dear, what a brilliant place. I can't believe I said oh dear as a negative and then said what a beautiful place. I don't mean it like that, of course I don't. But I couldn't have picked a better day for it. I mean, it's overcast, but that sun, that autumn sun, is desperately trying to pierce through. But again, these people risking their lives here, and I think they're really forgotten heroes in essence, because like we said before, their job was knowing that they were going to get attacked, you know, and they had to be quick, getting these reports in quickly. Okay, this German bomb's come quickly, let's replicate it quickly, go, 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 go. You know, it's an interesting thing to sort of theorise, really, and obviously hard to imagine. but you know, the condition, like we said, is good enough, and that's the most important thing. So we'll take one more look inside the generator, and yeah, there's a nice little, I'm assuming that's again for cabling or pipes. Brilliant. And again, so if I just show you out here that the fact of obviously what I walked out of, but again, this would have been a secondary entrance in, and obviously our blast walls here for protection, exactly the same as those. Walking in, and then we find ourselves in the generator. I don't really want to touch that, but I'm assuming that, let's see, let's have a look if it's might have been a generator plinth part of it, maybe, I don't know. It looks like it's a bit of debris. But yeah, a lovely little generator would have sat in here. That would have been it. Amazing. Like I said, I know a few people have probably done this one, so, but it's just nice for me and my channel to finally document it. And like I always say, it's also have a mini adventure for myself as well, just to come out in the fresh countryside and smell those smells. But brilliant, there we go. A wonderful little decoy site for RF Manston. A K site. Oh dear. So yeah, sorry I didn't do a classic history lesson for you today. You can understand why I've done so many of these before. And it was interesting, like I said, on this site, especially because of the lack of information that it was giving me, or that I could find at the time of recording this. But what we need to know, the basic principle, Starfish Decoy site, Ash Starfish Decoy site, potentially being used as a K site for daytime operations against decoying or diverting from RF Manston. Like I said, the brave people who are here, we've spoken about the generator, we talked about the blast walls, we talked about its area on the landscape. So we've done it. We've ticked off what you should tick off when you're here at a Starfish Decoy site. I'm sorry if I may have missed out some bits of information, but I've probably put them in other videos. So if you ever want to, feel free to look back at Starfish Decoy sites on the channel. Like I said, this is my 9th one of recording when this comes out. And there's another one to tick off the list. So in the immortal words of Phoenix history, thank you so much for joining me. Hope you enjoyed this wonderful little sort of like video for you. I know it wasn't a fanciful one, but you know, hopefully it was good enough for all of you out there. Stay safe no matter what you're doing. In the immortal words of Phoenix history, I will see y'all very soon. And because history matters, doesn't it just? Even, like I said, the tiniest of sites like this one can tell so much history, especially World War II and Kent for where we are today. Take care, everybody. I'll see y'all very soon. Goodbye for now. Kapow!